This is the book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Shabbat Shalom, Sabbath peace. Ashar Chadash, happy new moon. Nawathan Kal Halalim Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Racha HaKodash, giving all praises to Yahweh. In the name Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit, of honors to the elder apostles, the elder bishops, and the heads and elders, for all the camps of Great Millstone GMS who do well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered abroad. This is your brother Tazapanya of the Great Millstone, Washington, D.C. Church, Adawan Ratazah. Lord willing, this quick hit digital epistle is edifying to the elect. Shalom to the Akim, as well as the very, very, very few Akwath that are listening and learning in silence and pursuing to the scriptures. We're going to get right into it. And Salakia again, voices sounding like a young boy going into puberty, dealing with this changing of seasons and things of that nature. But I started out with Psalm 64 because these Edomites, especially on a high level, is telling upon their own selves. So if they're doing this thing, what do you think these other nations are thinking when they hear these type of things? Okay, an American Edomite is saying, as you could see, all right, which is Ray Dalio. He is a CEO of a big hedge fund, one of the probably the greatest hedge funds. That Babylon is in stage 6 of a 9, which means we're over the 50% threshold. Okay, so we're closer to the end than we are from the beginning. Stage collapse. Okay, and he's talking obviously about finances. All right, so imagine if you're of these other finance economists outside of Babylon the Great, which is America pursuant to prophecy. You're going to be like, oh, okay, well, I need to put myself in a secure position financially of my investments and assets. So when the scriptures say in Psalm 64 and 8, and in the last stanza, all that see them shall flee away. So when they see or hear these things of Edomites talking about their own Edomites, because this is a orchestrated financial demolition of the world reserve currency, okay, they're going to flee. And one of the ways that they flee is by selling treasury bonds, is by getting out of the dollar, getting money out of the banks, buying gold, so on and so forth. Okay, using alternative currency type sources. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to let this play. I'm going to filter through scriptures. Lord willing, is edifying. So Ray Dalio, the guy who founded Bridgewater, which became the largest hedge fund in the world, has spent decades studying how empires rise and fall, not politically, financially, structurally, over hundreds of years. And he says something pretty sobering. He says, we are likely in stage 6, maybe. Well, notice, Salaki, I just have to. Notice how he says he's empires fall, and not politically, but financially. Well, how does finances involve in prophecy when it comes to empires? Okay, let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 19. All right. And verse 3. Okay, it says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. Now, before we continue on, what is the spirit of Egypt? You have to know the history in order to understand the mystery. So you would have to go into the Old Testament and read the last couple books of Genesis and the first couple books of Exodus, or chapters, Salakia, for the last chapters of Genesis, first couple chapters of Exodus, to get an understanding of what the spirit of Egypt is. I mean, by now, for us understanding that we're Israelites, going into Deuteronomy 28 and in the curses, specifically verse 68, we understand that Egypt, its spirit is the spirit of bondage or captivity or slavery. All right. So how is slavery today, because people don't have chains on them. It's contractual debt slavery by the international banking families, spearheaded by the chief tribe of the nation of Edom, which would be the tribe of Amalek, which are your JOOs that claim to be us, that you wish you was us, the you wish people. Okay. So the spirit of Egypt, this slavery debt type system with this fiat currency says is going to fail. This oppressive slavery is going to fail. It says, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. So as these things is going down, all right, the all the think tanks and how we got to sit down and figure out how to save this shit. Jeremiah says that 50 or 51, it talks about that we would have healed Babylon, but she not be healed. Put balm on her for her pain. So the pain is the fact that the dollar is devaluing, and anything that they try to do is impossible to turn this thing around because it's circling the drain. And then it says, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. You see, so they're going to go into this left-handed witchcraft, warlock magic through the spiritual demon Satan, okay, and worshiping them in different type of weirdo ass rituals as we see right now, okay, in regards to what can be done to try to make America great again financially. It's impossible. Okay, so there's some that still want to do that. There's others that seen the light and is putting themselves and selling out to China, right? Or other countries, knowing that, oh, this is inevitable, and they're trying to put themselves in a selfish position to save themselves, all right, and say fuck every other Babylonian, basically. Okay, so continuing on.
Even early stage 7 of a 9-stage cycle that major world powers go through before their dominance fades and the system resets. Every dominant empire follows a pattern. He says in his article that he released, it's official, the world order has broken down. He says, in my parlance, we are in the stage 6 part of the big cycle in which there is a great disorder arising from being in a period in which there are no rules. Might is right, and there is a clash of great powers. How stage 6 works is explained in detail in chapter 6, the big cycle of external order and disorder, in my book, Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order. While I previously shared a lengthy set of excerpts from chapter 5, so you could see how what is going on in the United States tracks with the classic cycle explained in that chapter, I'm including all of chapter 6 here for you to review. And so he then publishes his chapter 6 there in the article, if you're interested in reading it on X. But basically, what he says is that every dominant empire follows a pattern, and it begins with total victory. So, like after World War II, the United States wasn't.
Well, the Bible talks about the pattern. Okay, let's not try to think that Esau is some wise. I mean, he is wiser than Daniel, but then the scriptures say that there is no more wisdom in Taman. Understanding has gone from out of Esau. So yeah, at a certain point on the left hand side, he was elite in regards to left-handed wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. However, the Lord has been confounding the wisdom of this world by the lowly men, us, the hopeful elect, those the right-handed Lucifer, which would be Yahweh Shai, but we're the body of Yahweh Shai, because Lucifer just means light bearer. It is a title. So we're bearing the light. Who is that light? It's Yahweh Shai. All right, because he has given us the gift of faith, okay, and he is supping with us, and everything that the Father has told him, he has told us. That's why he said that we are no more servants, but are friends, man. And what greater love does a friend have to die for his friend? So he laid his life down on the line to loosen those 7 seals so that our wisdom, knowledge, and understanding on the right hand side via the Racha HaKodash, the Holy Spirit, can comfort us and give us remembrance of all things. Hopefully that wasn't too much. Okay. But the scriptures say in Ecclesiasticus, let's go get it real quick to prove that it's not just a pattern. Even though, yes, there's nothing new under the sun as we read in Ecclesiastes, but we're going to go to Ecclesiasticus, all right, in chapter 10 and verse 8. And it says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So remember in Daniel, it said that for them to know that the Most High um, Uh, let me not butcher it. Let's go and get it real quick. The Salakia. This is Daniel 4 and 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. See? So every kingdom that he's saying has a pattern of falling, the Most High was in it. The Most High was in it via the Holy Spirit, the angels. Okay, that's why I said by the decree of the watchers, by the word of the holy ones. Those are the angels. Okay, you go into Daniel, it talks about how when Daniel prayed and it took 3 weeks, all right, for Gabriel to come holler at him, all right, because he was doing decrees that was given unto the Heavenly Father. He had to go deal with, if I'm not mistaken, Cyrus. Okay, roughly, yeah, all right. So it says that and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the bases of men. Now, the bases of men is the Edomites. They're at the lowest point. They are the border of wickedness, as it says in Malachi 1 and through 4. Okay, so when we go back to Ecclesiasticus, all right, that every kingdom that has went up, the reason that they see a so-called pattern and it went to another set of people, the Most High is the one that gave the decree of that transfer of power. But the reason was what? Because unrighteous dealings, injuries, riches got by the seat. So in Egypt, had unrighteous dealing, injuries, riches got by the seat. In Assyria, all right, unrighteous dealing, injuries got by deceit. The same thing with Babylon. The same thing with the Persian and the Medes. The same thing with the Greece. The same thing with the Rome. And the same thing now with this new ancient revived Roman Empire, which is the beast prophesied in the scriptures in Revelation. And the one that writeth or control that whole thing is America, the great whore, the mother of all harlots, Babylon, mystery Babylon the Great, the virgin daughter of Babylon. Okay, so he's trying to figure something out through mathematical pseudoscience type terms when the scriptures and the prophets is telling you why this thing is going down because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit. By who? By the Edomite, your so-called white man. Okay, let's continue.
And just powerful, it was unmatched. In 1945, America produced roughly half of the world's economic output, half. We held 2/3 of the world's gold. Europe was rubble. Japan was ash. Britain was bankrupt. So we wrote the rules. We built the Britain.
Now, who made Japan rubble through Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Who made Russia? What did he say? Oh no, Russia was rubble. Who made Russia rubble with the Soviet Union? Who made Japan ash with Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Who made Britain whatever they? This was all America, which was a conduit by the Illuminati. Hence why May 1st, 1776 is months ahead of July 4th, 1776. Okay, which was a power structure by the Amalekites. Because Esau think that Amalek just now getting in charge of America. Hell no, man. Okay, when you find out that they have been funding, all right, all of the transatlantic slave trade. So how you going to say that, oh, in the last 100 years now, Amalek just out of no, man. He been slithering and sliding and deceptive and changing his name, and you don't know who he is. This is why Thessalonians says the wicked had to be revealed, and that's just only 1/12, okay, of the wicked. Why? Because Esau has 12 dukes, okay, because he wants to be like the Most High. The Most High has what? 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, continuing on.
Wood system. We made the dollar the backbone of global trade. We created the IMF and World Bank. We formed NATO. We put the US Navy in every major shipping lane on earth. That was stage one. Okay. So basically, the winner writes the rule book. Then comes stage two, the golden era.
Notice how I said the winner writes the and I'm only in 2 minutes and I keep, but there's so much things that she's saying that I could break down scripturally. The winner writes the rule book. Didn't it say Yahweh Shai has been given the victory? So this is the victory has been already been written since the beginning of history, man. So this rule book or this movie, the Bible has already played out. Remember, he declareth the end from the beginning. The Lord already gave the blueprint, but it was up to the millennium on down for it to be revealed how the things was gonna go. So the winner, Yahweh Shai, already wrote the rule book, man. on rules mean that you cannot, when certain rules is broken, you get punished for it. The law. This is why doomsday. What does doom mean? The law. When you look into the etymology, so doomsday is a day that the law is going to be enacted. This is why it says that the sins have reaped up into heaven, and the Lord ain't going to allow that, because it's like, yo, you cannot. What's the wages of sin? Death. So why is the second death coming? Because the wages has reached at an all-time high. You cannot put any more shit on your tab, son. you you got to pay that tab. You heard? All right, continuing on.
1950s and 60s, what did we say? Manufacturing boomed, highways were built, the middle class exploded. One income could support a family, wages rose with productivity, the dollar was trusted. America wasn't just strong, it was stable. Now, every empire has that moment. Britain had it after defeating Napoleon in 1815. The pound sterling became the global currency. The British Navy ruled the seas. London was the financial center of the world. But then comes stage three, debt. Because when you're dominant, you get comfortable. Britain began borrowing heavily to maintain its empire. So by the early 1900s, its relatives.
So look, Britain borrowed heavy. Who was the ones that perfected the debt usury central bank system? Okay, the Rothschilds, which are Amalekites. Okay, so that means that they was funding all wars is bankers' wars. When Britain is going to colonize the whole fucking earth, who was there to give them? Yeah, we got you. Just some interest on the back end, but we got you. We'll fund your government, because they knew hundreds of years down the line what was going to happen. You see, showing you that these devils is thinking way farther ahead. But see, this is why we on a different level, because we thinking eternity. These devils only think hundreds of years. We thinking eternity.
Economic strength was shrinking while its global commitments remained enormous. So in America, look at the numbers. In 1980, US federal debt was about 30% of the GDP. Today, what is it? 120%. We're carrying more debt relative to our economy than at almost any time in peacetime history.
Habakkuk 2:6. How long does he lade himself with thick clay? Roughly paraphrasing. I bought yacht, thick clay, heavy debts.
So when debt grows faster than productivity, the system gets fragile. Then comes stage four, inequality. Before the Great Depression, the top 1% in America owned over 30% of the nation's wealth. Speculation was rampant. Then the market collapsed nearly 90%. And today, the top 1% again owns roughly one third of total wealth. Housing is unaffordable for millions of people. Asset owners soared during the last decade of money printing. Wage earners struggled to keep up. So when people feel locked out, resentment builds. Then we get to stage five.
Notice what she said there. This is why East Amalek. This is what Amalek has done to the rest of his Edomite counterparts of the different tribes. Okay, he has locked his own people out of the birthright. Well, not the birthright. The blessing that their father Isaac give unto them. By the sword thou shalt live, to get the fatness and of the whole earth. Roughly paraphrasing. So they're like, why are we not partaking in that inheritance? Because Amalek don't like the rest of you Edomites. But what does that say? A house divided against itself shall not stand. The house of Esau there's infighting. Okay, and honestly, there's infighting in all houses except the elect of Israel, because Israel is infighting. Northern kingdom versus southern kingdom, northern kingdom versus northern kingdom, southern kingdom versus southern kingdom. However, the Lord, through his grace and mercy, is raising up the tabernacles of David and closing the breaches thereof. And this is why we're going to rule again through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, starting with Yahweh Shai first, then Malak Dawada or Dawayad, okay, King David, or AKA Peter, if you can receive it through the reincarnation, and then the rest of the apostles and the rest of the men on down in 144,000.
Institutional decay. Weimar Germany in the early 1930s saw trust collapse, political violence became normal. Hyperinflation wiped out savings, extremist parties surge, late Rome, political assassinations, factional warfare, loss of faith in the Senate, and
So she just now compared America to late Rome. What the prophet's been telling you, that this is Rome all over again.
today, large portions of, we're seeing that same exact thing, that large portions of people are just believing that the elections are rigged, that media is propaganda, that courts are politicized, and that the other political party is an existential threat. Now, you don't have to agree with those perceptions. You just have to acknowledge that they exist. So that is late cycle behavior, according to Ray Dalio. Now we move on to stage 6. And this is where he says we're really, when kind of look at these stages, we're more at early stage 7. Both parties want you to believe they're working for the people, but let's be honest, Washington is bought and
Duh. And then she's going, so that's Revelation 13 and 11, if I'm not mistaken, she was about to go into.
confrontation before. That's when we get into stage 7, which is the economic war. And you could argue that this is where we're at in the 9-stage collapse, is that we're actually at the economic war part. This is the part people ignore. In the 1930s, the United States passed the Smoot-Hawley tariffs. Global trade collapsed by 2/3. Countries retaliated. The US froze Japanese assets and cut off oil exports. Japan calculated that it would run out of oil in 2 years. So what did Japan do? Pearl Harbor.
Come on now. We all know that was an inside. J to the Izzo. B to the.
Economic strangulation cornered a rising power. Today, the US restricts semiconductor exports to China. We freeze foreign reserves, as it did with Russia. What did we do? We froze basically 300 billion Russian dollars. We talk of the talk of de-dollarization around the globe is increasing. Trade blocs are forming. We see BRICS, for example. Now here's the part Dalio worries about, which is the economic war that follows that. That does not automatically lead to bombs when you start seeing these tariff wars and kind of the stuff that we're seeing right now with we're going to restrict your exports to China. We're going to freeze foreign reserves. We're going to do sanctions. We're going to do all these things. That's the beginning stage of this stage 7 economic warfare. And when you get deeper into stage 7, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to break out into like a kinetic war, but historically it often does.
Right, because the scriptures talk about that. World War III.
That's stage 8. So we kind of have to see how.
So stage 8. So it don't always happen like that, but in the 9-stage collapse, stage 8, which is right after the economic war, is a kinetic violent war.
7 plays out, but stage 7 could just remain this really harsh economic war that we're having with practically everybody right now around the globe. But mostly we're really aiming it at China. I mean, all the tariffs around the world that Trump has been doing, that's aimed at China at the end of the day. It's about limiting, hey, we don't really want you doing so much trade with China. We still want to be the top dog in the world, trade with us, partner with us. We're the shining star on the sea or star on the hill, whatever the analogy is there. And really we're doing all this to try to harm China. So let's get to stage 8. This is where we're headed, according to Ray Dalio. Stage 8 is when rivalry stops being financial and it starts getting physical. So in 1914.
So that means that, according to Ray Dalio, through the Spirit, stage 7 is when the chip is going to be enacted. Do you hear me? Stage 7 is when the mark of the beast goes live. And no wonder it's called stage 7. 7. While we're in 6. Come on now. You can't make this shit up. And then right after stage 7 is stage 8, which is funny because 7 means completion, 8 means glory, and that's when it turns violent. And what's going to happen when the missiles fly? The glory of the Lord, Ezekiel 1 at the end. All right, the fathership comes, Yahweh Shai with his angels to destroy this place, man. So he's probably going to say stage 9 is like some type of rebuilding or some type of shit like that. But it ain't going to be their rebuilding because that's what they think in Malachi 1. Oh, we're going to rebuild the desolate places. No, my nigga. No, Esau, my nigga, you're going into slavery. All right. But that where so he says we're in stage 6, but we're really in the beginning of stage 7. So it shows you that they this year it just keep seeing they're gonna push the chip, bro. They're gonna push the chip, bro. Lord willing.
Europe had already been in the arms race for years. Germany had built up its navy. British had responded. Alliances were formed. Trade tensions were rising. Nationalism was intense. Then an assassination in Sarajevo happened. And then within weeks, Europe was at war. The assassination did not cause World War I. It triggered something that had already been building for decades.
So, man, there's just so much, especially with that, man. I talked to the brother Shamaria like last week. Shout out to Shamaria, hey, Yabashim Yeshua Barakatah in the DC camp. But I was like, yo, I'm wondering, and I speak as a man, because Nero, ancient Nero, was having a PDF file relationship with this little or whatever, and the people didn't like him, and he tried to get them to like him by purposely putting on fire the Colosseum or something like that, right? And blaming it on the ancient Christians. And to qualify to be a Christian, you have to be an Israelite, because the Israelites was out there doing exactly what we doing, causing havoc verbally by bringing out the truth about the Roman Empire back then, and we're doing the same thing with the new one. So eventually, because of all the things that he was doing, the regular Roman citizens did not like him, and he committed, because he had an ego trip, he committed unaliving himself, all right, because of the fact that he wasn't liked. He was big on attention like that. So I was like, yo, what if this nigga Nero, because he's a million times in the E to the P, S to the T, E to the I N, you already know files, right? And something come out that is just people that is like, yo, oh my God, it's just too much. And this nigga offs himself, or he get boomed because it was like, yo, how can you do that? Boom. I don't know. I'm not putting that out there. That's what's going to happen. It's just there's so many kind of scenarios. We looking through a glass darkly. We prophesy in part. We know in part. We prophesy in part. I'm just hasting the day of the Lord, bro. I'm hasting this day, man. This thing is literally. This is not. You can't just be missing days. If you're a watchman, you're constantly watching.
Where we would be at with us. It's not like, oh, you did this and therefore now we're in World War III. No, I mean, we've had all of these buildups happening, and we could say, well, it was actually a long ramp that got us there. And that's the same thing with World War II. When you look at 1939, for example, by then Germany had rearmed, Japan had invaded China, the United States had imposed economic pressure, oil was restricted, trade blocs had hardened. When Germany invaded Poland, it wasn't that was the moment. There was a big buildup that led up to that. That was the ignition of a decade of escalating pressure. Basically, that is stage 8. Okay, so it's not just war; it's the point where backing down becomes politically impossible, and that is the key historical pattern that Dalio emphasizes. So the most dangerous moment in history is when two powers are close in strength, and neither can afford to look weak.
Woo! Woo! So we in a multipolar world, man. The scriptures say, "Let the weak say I'm strong," right? In the Book of Joel. So America is not the only superpower, the big bully on the block. Russia been in the gym, you heard? Russia been out here like this on hitting 315 on the bench press. He in the Brazilian jiu-jitsu in the you feel me? He in the octagon, getting his, you feel me, using his leg, getting them shins super rock hard. Cause if he kick you, you going down. That's the yo, man. What? So now Russia, like, stop playing with me, son. Stop playing. What you want to do? Remember, the Lord got hooks in his jaws. Yo, this is exciting. It's exciting, bro, because the kingdom, it is on its way. It's on its way. This is what we've been waiting for, and we have to endure unto the end. So continue to pray. Continue. I'm gonna leave it at this, man. I went there. I was supposed to go 20. I'm gonna do a nice 30, an easy 30 through the spirit of power behind Bashem Rashad, man. Lord willing, I was edifying to the elect, man. All right. The stage 7, the chip, stage 8, the missiles fly, according to Ray Dalio, through the spirit. through the spirit. Call Yabashim Yahusha. Brakta Yahweh, Brakta Yahusha. On to the next one. Shalom.